Hey guys, we are back with a quick video update. We had a major breakthrough, and the major breakthrough occurred with this back EMF energy harvesting circuit that has been implemented into the golden ratio ringer, and the full length of all the coils is 6.37 inches long. And basically we're just really refining the design, and this design we're tapping into the power completely wirelessly, as well as decoupling cause from effect. So we're tapping into all the power in this model wirelessly and resonantly, and it's very interesting to say the least. I also constructed a bifilar amplifier coil right here, and the length of these two wires is the exact length of the wire here, so it can talk to each other wirelessly at the utmost efficient levels. I take all my wires, measure them out, cut them exactly even, and you're good to go. And when you get your when you get your wires, to the length you want, if it's a little too long or too short, you have to either cut a quarter of it off, half of it off, or a harmonic of it off. Basically a multiple or divisible. You have to cut the length so it can talk to each other wirelessly. So basically I constructed this amplifier coil. It's just a coil, and all it is it's a bifilar amplifier coil with the wires the same length as the coil here, so it's a harmonic and can talk to each other. And it's just connected in series. The amplifier coil is connected in series with the negative input to the ringer, and what happens is a tremendous amount of back EMF builds up in it, and then I put this resonant receiver coil with my special ferrite in here, and it'll cause this light to get very bright. And you'll have to excuse me, I've been very sick for a while, as well as working a lot, so I'll turn this on. And it consumes, right now, it consumes 100 milliamps on the input. It's so small you can't even see us consuming power, but yet we still have wireless power present. And as long as you don't touch anything directly here, you won't detune it. And here's the interesting thing. So as you see, we have wireless power. I shut this off. The wireless power goes out. It's obviously this system producing that effect, because I'm toggling it on and off. And the power drain is almost so negligible you can't even see it on the meter, the analog amp meter. This analog amp meter is connected in series with, it just monitors our power draw here. So anyway, you will now see what happens when I add my resonant receiver coil into the center of the amplifier coil. We will get power at no additional input cost to us, the user. So we now have the manifestation of power, at no additional input cost to us, still at 100 milliamps. And it's earth grounded to my heater down here. And the back EMF part of the circuit is also earth grounded. And I can also take this other wireless receiver coil pickup stick, and look at this. This is how powerful the amplifier coil is. So I believe they call this parametric resonance, where you can literally get an amplification of wireless power from the correct built coil. And you're seeing that effect right here. As you see, my meter won't even budge when I connect and disconnect the load. And this is a true gain in power because we're harvesting it wirelessly and resonantly, and our meter is hardly even budging. So I figured I would demonstrate that while that effect is occurring. We still have phenomenal wireless power, no degradation. The way we would tap into it is we then get a resonant coil, put it anywhere in the area, bring in a ground. In this case my body's acting as the ground, but if I were to ground this, it would get very bright. And keep in mind I can create another energy harvesting circuit with a full bridge rectifier between a ground wire and this coil, and this is how bright it will get. This is grounded now, and this is just a wireless coil, completely magnetically resonant. And meanwhile that is still very bright. We are hardly drawing more than 100 milliamps, and we still have very impressive effects. So I think this is the way forward. And now what I can do is build an identical model to this and keep combining the DC outputs for all the power we want. Basically just duplicate the whole setup, and you would need a amplifier coil, a tuned amplifier coil, a 6.37 inch long golden ratio ringer, and basically you're basically just cloning the setup, and you keep combining all the DC outputs, and you get a very impressive power output. So there's probably 1 or 2 watts there of true wireless energy being harvested, and this is how bright it gets a little LED light. This is a 3 watt 12 volt LED, and it actually gets so bright it gives off heat. It gets warm to the touch. This also gets warm to the touch. This was a I'll read it to you. 12 volt 10 watt light, and we had it lit at about 1 or 2 watts. 12 volt 10 watt light, and as you see our power consumption still isn't over 100 milliamps, because like I said, we're harnessing the power wirelessly with 2 circuits. This back EMF circuit, we use 2 capacitors to isolate us from the system resonantly and wirelessly, because the capacitor is a blocking device. So these 2 capacitors, 1 nanofarad each in this system, is between the negative input to the system and the earth ground. So that's where this is outputting power. The AC side of this rectifier is between the negative input of the system and the earth ground. And then the negative line continues. The negative line is in series with our bifilar amplifier coil. And in the center of our bifilar amplifier coil sits a resonant wireless power receiver, and that's what creates the magic. As I move this up and down, it'll get brighter or dimmer. I think we're at the brightest right here. This is actually giving off heat now. You'll have to forgive me, I'm getting over bad cold after working a lot as well. Just been run down lately and overworked. Basically don't have any days off anymore. I'm just constantly working. But yeah, so figured I'd demonstrate that. The effect of the amplifier coil combined with our wireless receiver coil and our back EMF energy harvesting circuit, we are harnessing wireless power at virtually no input drain to the system. And I'll show you where it gets really exciting. Give you a good full look around everything. Like I said, you move it in here, it picks up power. You can shut this off for any skeptics thinking that there's something weird going on. There's nothing weird going on. The system is simplex. You have to follow certain principles when you build it for it to work properly, and it will blow your mind. Good look around the desk. I kept it kind of clean. Good look under the table. Absolutely nothing. So again, I'll turn the system on again. I'll try and sum it up and explain it very precisely. So again, what we have going on is a Super Joule Ringer 3.0 circuit. I modified it where it's now a golden ratio measurement, golden ratio length. It's 6.37 inches long now, and we feed, instead of using our power directly, like Laser Hack or a Laser Saber did, we feed it into a resonant RLC network, and it's either negative resistant or it's just very resonant. It's one of those two. I am not quite sure yet, but nonetheless the effects are very phenomenal. So we feed our high frequency output into our network here that you can see, our resonant network, with our carbon film resistors, which is very important. And we also earth ground the back of it here. So what we're doing is we're making it an open resonant system, and it's very non-linear, and due to that effect it creates phenomenal wireless power effects at great efficiencies. And what I'm doing different is the energy. This coil now, the yellow pickup Tesla coil, we are not using it. It is acting as a power buffer for reactive energy, meaning the power it's just storing wireless reactive power, and that wireless reactive power that's not being used seems to have a very good amplification effect within the amplifier coil, which is a bifilar Tesla design. So there's multiple different Tesla designs incorporated in this. The 336961 coil that's wound over here, the yellow coil. All coils are 6.37 inches long. This coil length, if you were to unwind it, it would wind on the rod perfectly, the same length as this yellow coil. And yeah, so everything's resonant, wireless, can talk to each other. As you see, you can see how bright and dim that gets. And meanwhile, our power input meter isn't even budging, or it's budging so slightly you can barely see it. So this was a phenomenal breakthrough. So we have all these interesting effects occurring with wireless power. Now the last impressive effect I will show is I will show you, I'll hook up my multimeter. I will show you the voltage on the battery powering the device. And this is where it gets interesting. I will now take this power output and connect it to the battery that is running the system. And this is where it gets very promising. Watch this. So we now have all of our wireless amplified power output now feeding back into the input battery. And I'll just let you watch what happens. And while that's occurring, we still have phenomenal wireless power we can tap into. Get this all in view. So again, I think I'm going to proceed forward with this type of new design. Got some very high quality ferrite in that's causing this effect. And as you see, we're recharging the source battery while also maintaining very impressive wireless power. So I'm then going to duplicate this setup and keep combining the DC output for maybe as much of a gain as we want in theory. And yeah, like I said, I've been very sick lately, overworked a lot, basically never have a day off, just always working. But I enjoy my work, you know, catching up on orders, shipping stuff out at my other full-time job. And yeah, just doing a lot of research and having breakthroughs. And I'm grateful to all you guys. And basically having fun. So that's the interesting effect occurring. That is all the combined wireless power output that we converted to DC going back to the source battery that runs the system. So we are watching in real time the interesting effects. And the major breakthrough was that bifilar amplifier coil. And if anyone wants to order anything, feel free to. There's anywhere from a 1 to 3 month wait for anything. If you order, because we've just been so ridiculously busy lately. Talking to people, processing orders, catching up on things. But yeah, nonetheless, we give full disclosure on everything, how to build everything. In the YouTube community, Patreon, all listed. So you guys are watching the interesting effect where I connected all the combined wireless power output back to the source battery. And we still have wireless power we could play with. So we'll wait till it hits 13.35. Before I started filming, it did hit 13.35. Love working with the public. They get you sick half the time. Getting over a walking pneumonia. But yeah, I basically got sick with a bad virus. Lasted like 4 days, and then it just turned into a lingering pneumonia. So yeah, that's recharging the source. And the gain in power is coming from the fact... Well, the gain in power is coming from multiple things. It's coming from the fact we constructed the device to golden ratio standards now, combined with we're very resonant, we're open system, we're earth grounded, and we're highly nonlinear. We now have multiple Tesla patents incorporated into the device. For wireless power, parametric amplification is the correct term that I've been studying. And phenomenal wireless power. I can even adjust this for further tuning effects. You know, sliding it like old school radio stuff. And yeah, the system is just showing a lot of promise. So I figured I'd show that off, demonstrate it. And keep in mind, that shouldn't be happening. Basically, what is occurring is we gained power back while we still have phenomenal wireless power. Like that shouldn't happen, but yet it did. And it happened for the multiple reasons I said earlier. This device may hold the key and may be the arch form for excess wireless power manifestation. And the device is capable of stimulating the ambient environment, especially metal objects, into releasing energy. So for example, I can take any coil, put it nearby, put this little receiver light near it, and it lights up. And it doesn't even have to be a resonant coil. It could be just a piece of metal or a plane of metal. Even my solder. And it will still work. Yeah, it still works even on my solder, which is very weird. There's some type of either new phenomenon occurring here or an unexplored one, but I believe the device is probably harnessing scalar energy in some way, and it would be called scalar energy, not scalar waves, because there's no wave component with scalar. And we just actually hit 13.35. That's good to see on video. It's just about teasing 3.5. There we go. So we are still recharging. We still have phenomenal wireless power taps we could create. Infinite in theory. And keep combining the DC of those wireless power taps with the output here. So you're seeing now we are at 13.35 going to the input. This system, I mean, this was awesome. I'm gonna clone this setup and combine the DC power. So figured I was overdue for a video. This one might be a little on the long side to explain things. Hopefully everyone understands what's going on. There's no magic here, no voodoo, no nothing unexplained. We have very solid foundational theories based off of Eric Dollard, ancient electrical engineering, based off of Heaviside, Steinmetz, basically all the masters who gave us our modern electrical world. So yeah, to sum it up again, we created a golden ratio super joule ringer circuit, which is already by its nature very efficient, energy efficient. We then take the wireless power that it gives off, we take the high frequency power it gives off, but we don't use that power directly to run loads. We send that high frequency output into this RLC network, and there's either negative resistance occurring here or just a very advanced resonant phenomenon occurring. And we also earth ground it, which adds non-linearity to the system. You have to earth ground it there. Earth grounding it there gives you very impressive wireless power effects that will blow your mind at almost no input cost. And I could probably even switch this out with a MOSFET at some point, or a more efficient transistor to see even more of a gain. So again, then you wind your 336961 Tesla coil over the system. Another efficient way to tap into and use the power is that 336961 Tesla coil. You can run loads directly off that. Except in this case, I had a breakthrough by researching parametric resonant amplification, which is basically I added this back EMF energy harvesting circuit, which is 2 AC capacitors coming off of the AC side of my 2 diodes. The AC side is between the negative input and the earth ground. And then my amplifier coil, it's a bifilar constructed amplifier coil, and it's just connected in series with the negative input of the system. So literally the coil is just connected in series with the system. And yeah, it's just phenomenal effects. We basically made everything resonant, wireless. We're harvesting the back EMF. We're harvesting wireless power from the bifilar amplifier coil. We're non-linear. We're getting impulse energy possibly coming in from the earth ground. This would be non-longitudinal. This would be non-Hertzian energy coming in from the earth ground in the form of pulses at ringing, as Eric Dollard states. So yeah, it's a type of energy transfer that almost occurs at no loss. It would be longitudinal dielectricity, I believe is the name. So we're watching the interesting effect that occurred. We have back EMF harvested, wireless energy harvested. Our input is varies anywhere from 1 to 200 milliamps, and our output is about 1 to 2 watts. And you watched what happened when I hooked my wireless output back to my DC source battery driving the system. We recharged while still having wireless power. So this is very phenomenal. And keep in mind, things are always updating and improving every month as updated components come out and higher quality components come out, and as we learn more as a community. So now I will then disconnect the part of the circuit that was doing this recharging effect. And you'll see we immediately start dropping. Accidentally disconnected the meter, but alright, so now we are back. Again, I can run LED light, no problem, almost to the point where it's blindingly bright. Like, that's insane. and moving my wireless pickup coil up and down affects the brightness, while as well barely having an impact on our power drain because we're wireless and we're resonant. And I can also hook up my incandescent bulb. So sometimes with this system you have to start very small, explore the fine details of things, and really hone in on the effects you're trying to get, and you'll be very, very impressed with just what your intuition can guide you to. So yeah, we got that going. We can do that. We can have virtually limitless wireless power. I can even run a motor here now with my collected wireless power. And all this is occurring with no additional power draw on our source. So here's a motor running, no problem. Hopefully you can hear it and see it. Motor running. Again, virtually no input draw. And then you'll see what happens when I connect this back up to our driving battery. Watch what our wireless power does now. It recharges it. So this thing is what was blowing me away. Like, we refined it even further. We don't even need to tap the power off of the Tesla coil anymore. We can just leave it open circuit, and the energy sloshes back and forth around it in the form of a powerful wireless reactive field, and that field can then be utilized with the correct bifilar amplifier coil connected in series with your negative input line. So that is the phenomenal effect discovered. Now, again, what you're seeing here, this effect shouldn't occur. All our wireless power we harvested, we ran a motor with it for a short time, ran an incandescent bulb with it for a short time, ran an LED light very brightly with it for a short time, and yeah, we can then take that output, reconnect it back to the source, and by hell damn, it recharges. This was the most efficient breakthrough so far, so I'm going to keep pursuing this path, duplicate the setup, and keep combining the DC output. So again, the circuit schematic is exactly as before, except we just aren't using the power output from the yellow coil. We leave it completely open circuit, and this meter shuts off if you don't use it too long. That meter just shuts off all the time. But anyway, hopefully I explained everything properly. Video's going on quite long, but sometimes you need long videos to demonstrate things and explain things. And this is the coolest effect. So we're still doing all that, right? And look at this. I might be holding it upside down. Wonder what happened. Usually this glows all the time. Oh, I think I might have blew this one. It's not as sensitive as it used to be. But anyway, you get the idea. You still see the wireless power that's there. While we are recharging the source battery back up. So, should I wait till it hits 13.35 and end the video, or should I not wait? We'll see. And yeah, once again, like I said, the system produces very phenomenal and odd effects. Any metal object in the area, once you earth ground it, will collect and distribute wireless energy, which is very interesting. So Figured I'd demonstrate that, talk about that. We're going on 30 minutes now. We haven't even lost any charge. In fact, we've gained charge with the system after 30 minutes of being on, which is very interesting. So again, I think I'll sum up how it works so there's no confusion. We created a golden ratio super joule ringer circuit 3.0, like Laser Hacker or Laser Saber first invented. And instead of using the high frequency power directly, we send it into a resonant RLC network. Now, either negative resistance is taking effect here, or it's a very hyper efficient RLC effect. And the only reason I call it negative resistance is because if you short out the wireless output that you collect from this, sometimes your input power will drop. So that's why I call it that, and that was a main descriptive effect of negative resistance, is when you short circuit your wireless receiver coils while collecting power from a negative resistant network and your power drops, then that's a sign you have negative resistance. So that's why I call it that. It might just be hyper efficient resonance. I'm not sure. I'm just guessing it's negative resistance. And as you see, we hit 13.35 again. So we're fully recharged back on the driving source, the DC battery driving source. And so it's a golden ratio ringer, goes to our RLC network. We added a back EMF energy collection circuit. One AC side goes to the negative input, the other AC side goes to earth ground. And then you see two earth grounds here because this earth ground is connected to the back EMF circuit, and this earth ground goes to my heater, which is down there. Very good earth grounding, goes to my well pump and my heater, which makes the system open and non-linear and very efficient, and we're possibly harvesting the non-Hertzian forms of power from the earth within this system, as Eric Dollard theorizes, which passes through the earth in the form of, I believe he called it dielectric impulses, or the Dirac C. I'm not quite sure what he called it, but it's non-Hertzian and travels almost instantly. So yeah, we then harvest our power wirelessly. We made that bifilar Tesla coil as an amplifier coil, which again is another Tesla patent. We have 2 or 3 Tesla patents going on here that we combined and modernized. And we take our very efficient resonant receiver coil rod. This is a nickel ferrite rod laced with metglas. And as you see, the moment I immediately move it out of the amplifier coil, our voltage drops a little bit. I put it back in. We'll probably go back up to 13.35. It's all about resonance and tuning with the thing, and using very advanced magnetic materials that are very magnetically permeable to get these effects. So we'll see if we hit 13.35 again. We should, if everything's in proper position. So I'm demonstrating the effects of what the system can do, how it works. It's very impressive. I'm going to proceed forward with this design and keep combining the DC outputs. So again, thank you everybody for the support, the community. It's amazing. Feel free to join the Patreon, even if not as a paid member, even if it's for free. We have an archive of ancient electrical engineering PDFs and textbooks, all for free on the Patreon. We use the Patreon as our main website for basically a free library of information all in one spot. Very good spot for anyone to learn things that they want. I learn a lot of stuff too, like I'll be working or doing something, and I'll just have headphones in and I'll be listening to electrical engineering books on Audible with headphones. So I'd recommend a lot of the old stuff by Steinmetz. A lot of Eric Dollard's work is very good. A lot of Ken Wheeler's work is very good too. He has very good condensed information on electrical engineering and how the universe should work. So You're basically seeing a long video of the system's capabilities, the breakthrough that was had, and a touch of philosophy involved, and a little bit of electrical theory, and how closed-minded physicists always say, oh, you know, you'll never get more out than you put in, but yet they can't explain how the universe keeps expanding. They can't explain how light can speed up and slow down multiple times after passing through different types of glass mediums. There's just so much they can't explain. They can't even fully explain if light is a particle or a wave. Ken Wheeler sums it up pretty good. They can't explain where the energy that began the universe ever came from. So there's a lot more questions than answers with modern science. And the laws of thermodynamics, when they first came out, only applied to closed mechanical systems. So when you get involved with electrical engineering, which is a metaphysical phenomenon, you can do pretty impressive things. So we put those theories into practice, and you're seeing the results. So once again, thank you everybody, and feel free to hit the research. And yeah, thank you everybody. This was a long video, so I will now shut it off, the device. So we are off. As you see, our wireless power is out. We didn't even lose any charge of power, which is very impressive. So this video had to be made. It was overdue for a video, and you witnessed all the interesting effects of the system. And again, thank you everybody. See you next time.